This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Looking to escape all the festive chaos? Turn holiday hecticness into harmony with Heyday, the mobile game that helps you harvest calm, one crop at a time. Reclaim your me time. Relax, decorate, and enjoy farming bliss as you tend to your animals and harvest crops as part of a welcoming, stress-free community. Join over 20 million players. Just tap or click on the banner now to download Heyday for free today.
There are a lot of people who have a sense of humor, but don't know how to be silly or funny. And those people can be the audience to the silliness. People are sitting around and everybody's laughing because somebody else was being silly or funny. It just includes everybody in the lightheartedness, the silliness, the laughing, the connection.
Welcome to Season 7 of Flusterclux with Lynn Lyons, where we'll talk about managing anxiety and all the other emotions too. We tackle the serious stuff without being too serious. I'm your co-host, Robin. I'm Lynn's sister-in-law, and I'm here to ask your questions.
And I'm Lynn Lyons. I'm an anxiety expert, speaker, mom, and author. I've been a therapist for 35 years. Parenting can be a Flusterclux, and I'm here to help you find your way. I'll tell you what to do and what to say.
Okay, Lynn, I know we're supposed to talk about family fun today.
Yes.
The reality is this is a really crazy time for me. And I think it is for you. We both have so much happening with our families right now, like medical, moving, nursing home stuff going on. But you know what? This is life.
Right. True. I know. But my garbage disposal is leaking. And also, completely unrelated to the garbage disposal leaking, apparently when I turn the water off too aggressively in my kitchen, my bathtub turns on full force. It is the craziest thing. It's like a poltergeist. So I called the plumber. The plumber is coming, and he seems to know exactly what's going on. It's something with the control thing in my bathtub. I have a sign on my kitchen sink that says gentle, which I think is like symbolic. I think maybe I need to put a sign all over my house that says gentle.
It's not like if we were to just launch into this great list of fun things that we walk around like Disney princesses always happy.
No, and in fact, I think that as we do this family fun episode, we're going to have to be careful not to sound as desperate for family fun as we both feel right now. Like, oh my God, get a puzzle. Yeah, that's how it feels.
And I also want to point out that both of us were headed into recording this morning and we were probably not smiling, but because we externalized all the stress that we're carrying, like all of a sudden now it's feeling very different and each of our moods have shifted.
Well, which is also just a good reminder of connection, right? Because we love each other and we enjoy each other. And so whether or not we were recording this podcast or not, we've just had like a nice connection, silly moment of what the F is going on. Yeah.
Injecting silliness in these moments. We did an episode about this. I think the first one was the Christmas season during 2020, if I'm not mistaken, because that was very intense for so many families. And just even if you had to fake the silliness, once you got into those kinds of games and ideas that we talked about, it really can shift your mood too.
Yeah. And it really is about playfulness too, because silliness, sometimes it's hard to create silliness. I think it's easier to create playfulness as a way into silliness than to say, okay, we have to be silly right now. Silly is kind of a spontaneous thing that comes from doing ridiculous things.
That's true. If silliness is a more unbridled form of playfulness, we have talked about ways that you can inject play, even if you're not really feeling it yourself.
Yesterday, when my garbage disposal was leaking and my bathtub was spontaneously turning on, I was thinking, oh gosh, we're going to record this podcast. So I started thinking about, all right, what are the things that make it playful? How can we talk about playfulness? What are the games or the things that we do? So should we just start throwing out ideas?
Yes, but I first want to make one comment.
Okay.
Here's the thing I do want to mention too. I married into a family of silliness.
We are silly.
You are silly. I mean, it's great. And I think a lot of people, though, might hear these ideas and say, well, I don't even know how to do that. And I want to speak to that for a second. My family was like loving and warm, but we weren't silly and we weren't playful together. I think like many families, my family was more of drink in the hand, joking around. like adults at a bar or a cocktail party, like, oh, chuckle, 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 or like picking on people, like,
Yes.
like it was silly and it wasn't playful. I've thought about how marrying into your family and seeing playfulness at work and how you sort of can convert people into that.
Well, you've definitely been converted.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, no, it wasn't hard, but I think most people don't really need to be convinced to have a good time and to play. So that's actually the first point. I think that sometimes you could say like, my in-laws or my parents are just not the playing type. That's fine. If that is the case, create your group where you can play and be silly. And if it's maybe just you guys and your kids, and maybe there's like a sibling or maybe there are some cousins, but think of who your allies are with this and really focus on them, and then the joy and the silliness spreads.
One of the most basic ways that you can do that, I think, is that when you have family get-togethers, have some sort of activity or a game set up or prepared so that the people who want to play can play. Because I think one of the things that makes it hard is everybody's together. Maybe it's standing around holding a drink, chuckle, 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 like in Robin's family. But what if there's something for people to sort of unite around? So we have games that we play that we have become sort of traditions that we really enjoy. But even having a jigsaw puzzle set up, it's a way to get everybody of all ages sort of around something and doing something together in conversation and connection. So that's a really simple thing that you can do, to have sort of some kind of game set up. If you have little kids, you can even get a Lego set and have the Lego set there that people are going to build Legos. Just something that people can come in and out of and engage in is a way to start to be playful with your family.
When we come back, we'll have a few more ideas that you can do this year.
Don't let the stress of the holiday season show up on your skin. Keep your complexion hydrated, youthful, and clear with Oak Essentials. Oak Essential skincare is cruelty-free, non-GMO, and organic whenever possible. Plus, everything is free from silicones, colorants, sulfates, and a host of other nasties.
You can't go wrong with the body routine. It's Oak Essentials Complete Everything Shower Kit. It includes the Awaken Body Wash, a Perfecting Body Scrub, the Dew Body Oil, Luminous Body Lotion, and Moisture Rich Body Balm. I've been using that Moisture Rich Body Balm on my skin. I put it on before I go out for a walk in this cold weather. I feel like it's just taking care of my skin and protecting my face.
This holiday season, treat yourself and your loved ones to spa-quality skincare essentials that deliver a moisture-rich glow. Our listeners will get 15% off their first order when you use code Flusterclux15 at checkout.
That's 15% off your first order at OAKESSENTIALS.com, promo code Flusterclux15. Get your best radiant skin this season with Oak Essentials.
Lumen's the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs. And it gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, even stress management.
All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. And then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals. You know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game.
Yeah, your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does. Optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, and better sleep.
This helps you track your cycle, the onset of menopause, adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through all these hormonal shifts that we go through as women.
It'll help you keep up your energy and stave off those cravings. If you want to stay on track with your health this holiday season, go to lumen.me/fluster to get 15% off your Lumen. That's LUMEN.me/fluster for 15% off your purchase.
Lumen makes a great gift too. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. Now is the perfect time to give your kids money skills that will last well beyond the holidays, and that's where Greenlight comes in. Greenlight is a debit card and a money app. It's made for families. Parents can send money to their kids and keep an eye on their kids' spending and saving, while giving kids and teens the opportunity to build confidence with money and lifelong financial literacy skills. It's got games that teach money skills in a fun, accessible way. The Greenlight app also includes a chores feature where you can set up a one-time or recurring chores customized to your family's needs. You can reward kids with allowance for a job well done. This is a great time to get started with Greenlight because it can help your kids get set up as the new year starts. And managing money, understanding the way that it works out there, it's really good to start in your home. Millions of parents and kids are learning about money on Greenlight. It's easy, convenient. It's a fun way for parents to raise financially smart kids and help families navigate life together. So sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/fluster. That's greenlight.com/fluster to try Greenlight today. greenlight.com/fluster. Okay, we're back.
You know, Lynn, I thought of a game actually that we as a family have not done yet, but what it's actually doing is building on a classic moment of what your family of four did once. We should have a contest starting this Christmas where everyone chooses their own color, and the person who is the most of that color from head to toe with the most number of items wins. If you choose green and you come head to toe in all these different greens, and then the person who is the biggest color wearer can win that contest. Like, that's the kind of thing that is usually not uncomfortable for people who are really earnest. They might get really competitive about it.
Yeah.
Tell them the backstory of that.
We were up at my parents', and I think my sister made a comment about us wearing orange, like our family was wearing orange. And that was on a Saturday. So we went home because we live close. And then we came back the next day, but we went home and we arrived on Sunday, the four of us dressed completely in orange, all four of us. But we said nothing when we got out of the car, and we just went into the house and just waited for people to know. Like, we had on like hunting vests and everything that we could find orange. The four of us were dressed head to toe in orange. And then, of course, when people were like, hey, wait a second, they're all wearing orange. Of course, that amused us. I mean, we had so much fun finding the orange stuff. We arrived with like this giddiness of like, ha ha ha, we're doing this funny thing.
And you were doing it together, and the energy that the four of you had while you were prepping for that was the best memory.
Yes, right. Running around the house and being like, oh my God, I have orange shorts. Yeah, it was really fun. I could see that being fun. I can see people finding earrings and headbands and socks and everything. Yeah,
exactly. And what I've learned in our big family is that people show up to these things with their personality. So the people who are already pretty silly know how to like really have fun with it to the delight of everybody else. And then the people who have a harder time with silly, they'll still play by the rules and they know they're a part of it. So things like that, it's leaving room for people to be where they're at.
Well, I think also is that there are a lot of people who have a sense of humor, but don't know how to be silly or funny. And those people can be the audience to the silliness. People are sitting around and everybody's laughing because somebody else was being silly or funny. It just includes everybody in the lightheartedness, the silliness, the laughing, the connection.
Yeah. Another idea that I heard of a family that I thought was amazing was that they did this for Thanksgiving, but it could work for any holiday that you gather together. This was at the time when the Harry Potter movies were finishing, but everyone dressed as a character. But that could apply to Star Wars. That could be Marvel superheroes. It could be a variety of different stories. Or you could choose to be one of the reindeer and try and figure out how to represent a reindeer as a costume. So everyone has to guess. Showing up in costume can be really fun. And you know your family to know if people would comply.
Yeah. The other game that's really fun is that the goal is to try and get somebody to say no. Everybody has like a marble or a piece of paper or whatever. So it becomes this silly game where you're purposely trying to get somebody to say no. and you're trying to not say no. So that can be a fun thing that doesn't require any props or any costumes or anything. It's very simple. You can also just, everybody gets a celebrity or a famous person. You write it on a piece of paper and everybody gets it taped or pinned to their back. And then you have to figure out who you are by asking yes or no questions. So it engages in conversation. It sort of helps, particularly if you're with a big group of people and you're not quite sure if there's somebody that feels a little shy or doesn't know how to make conversation. It immediately sort of starts the party with some sort of engagement.
Definitely. Especially if you're bringing in new members of family or you're gathering, that game is great.
Right. I remember my mom having us do those games like we had a class reunion or something. So I think my mom had me doing a party with those games, and it was really a good way to sort of get the party ball rolling.
Another thing that we do every year that I think is really worth mentioning because it's made our Christmases so fun is we do like a white elephant gag gift as opposed to exchanging gifts. So when we get together as a group, we have made a commitment not to exchange gifts. And it's all about the fun. So people can get really into the fun gag gift that they contribute. So we've done that. And I like that energy instead.
Yes, that's been a lot of fun.
We also play what I call parlor games. There are a variety of games that they don't require boards or special equipment. It's usually just pieces of paper and pens. And similar to charades, we play something called Celebrity. So someone always introduces a new game to us. But my daughter's having a birthday party soon. And I said, what do you want to do? And she just listed all the games we play at Christmas because they're fun and they can get really, really silly by the end of the game.
Yes. The other thing you might want to think about as you're having these family gatherings is what are the rules or the limits that you're going to put on technology. So if you've got a bunch of kids and everybody has a phone or everybody has an iPad, it becomes very easy for everybody to just be sitting in the same room on their phones. And that can really sort of make it not such a great experience. However, that said, there's a game called Quiplash that we play on our phones that if anybody is interested in looking that up, that's for older. It can be a little racy.
I think there's a family-friendly mode, but we've never played it and we don't use that mode.
Yeah. So I will say that we play Quiplash together and I have wet my pants on many occasions. I mean, we laugh so hard when we play that game.
So I think on a meta level, we brought the culture of games into our gatherings. And I think that if you are new to that, there's a little voice inside of you that says, I don't know if we could do that, but try, just try.
Or nobody's going to want to do this, right? You're going to tell yourself the story of nobody wants to do this, or what if I try and nobody wants to play, or that kind of stuff. And maybe if you're going to introduce some of these games, make sure that you have ahead of time, you've checked in and you have a small contingent who's going to participate with you. You know, maybe you're having 30 people at your house and maybe there are 7 of them that are game. So do a little pre-work as you're introducing this so you don't feel like you're stepping into this alone and everybody go like, no.
Right. Find your allies first. And then when you have a group of the family saying, we're doing this, that's very different than you feeling like you're trying to move a big wave of energy that people just want to do the same thing that could be really boring or whatever. With the phones, one of the things that you can also do is have some sort of basket or stocking. If you have a big stocking lying around that night for Christmas, everyone puts their phone in the stocking. And if you pull your phone out during the evening, you're out. But everyone who still has their phone in the stocking by the end of the evening wins some sort of prize. And that's actually a really great way if you've got kids with phones to have an incentive for them to say, like, I am not going to get my phone today while we're all together.
Right. And remember that a lot of times kids, particularly kids that are between the ages of like 10 and 14, they're going to want to do things on their phones. I don't think 10-year-olds should have smartphones, but that's a conversation for another day. But kids are going to have their phones. And so they're going to say, oh, well, when I'm with my cousins, the fun thing that we do together is play video games, or we want to play this game, which is why you have to have something else to substitute for the games that they would play on their phone. You can't just say, we're going to take away your phones and now we're all going to stand around and stare at each other.
You have to have a plan.
You've got to have a plan for this. You've got to have a plan. The other thing I think it's important to talk about as we're talking about creating family fun is making sure that you avoid the traps that actually make it so stressful for the hostess or the host of a family gathering. Think about what your expectations are. Think about what you are wanting to do. And then maybe just say to yourself, how can I knock this down a few pegs? How can I make this simpler for myself?
You'll always have a plan of what you want the menu to be. On the day, there will be things that you forgot to make or things that you don't feel like you can, and just roll with it and just forgive yourself. And if you have a perfectionistic tendency where that will stress you out, really plan in advance that you make a decision not to be that person when it shows up, not to have your perfectionism show up and fall into it or be led by it. Because the most fun your guests will have is a trickle out effect. If you are having a good time and you are there with the intention of wanting people to have fun, it really makes a difference.
And also, people remember the most powerful memories that people have are when silly things go wrong. So it's not like when something terrible happens, but you forget something or, something that your perfectionistic part might say, oh, that's terrible. Everyone else will remember it as kind of a silly, fun thing that happened.
That's actually the same thing with weddings. They always say that the thing that you didn't plan, the thing that sort of was a mistake, in quotes, those are actually the memories that you will have of your wedding that you will enjoy most, because you can't really plan those great moments, and those great moments happen organically.
So this is how Robin and I divide and conquer. She'd be the one that plans the menu and organizes all that and makes a beautiful table and it just looks fabulous. And my family arrives wearing all orange. That's the difference.
I think both roles are equally important.
Well, I think we appreciate each other's roles, but that's just the difference. We're like, can we find orange pants? And Robin's like, I'm going to make a pot roast, or I so appreciate that she does that.
Yes, that is another point I want to make about hosting. So I don't overdo it. And if you're someone who wants to take on too much and overdo it, you probably aren't having a fun time hosting. You probably don't want to do it again.
Right, because then you just feel like you're a catering service.
Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. The holidays are upon us, and they are a marathon, not a sprint. It's really easy to forget to take care of yourself in the middle of all this rushing around. I don't like drinking plain water, but I am not exaggerating when I say that I am probably drinking 4 times as much as I would if I were just drinking plain water alone. It's powered by Liquid IV Hydroscience, which means that you've got an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. There are 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. You've got 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. The flavors are so good. I am a huge fan of the lemon lime sugar-free version. I love it. They've got other flavors: pina colada, white peach, green grape, tear, pour, live more. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It is always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. Stay hydrated through the holidays with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code FLUSTER at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code FLUSTER at liquidiv.com. All right, everybody, I want you to go to your bathroom and I want you to count how many skincare products you have in there. And I had 17. What if I said you just need 5? With JLo Beauty, that's all you will need for radiant, glowing skin. You get that JLo glow with JLo's Beauty Deluxe Kit. It's the one-and-done skincare solution clinically proven to boost your skin's radiance and luminosity for an immediate and lasting glow. Featuring 5 multitasking formulas designed to cleanse, refresh, and prep your skin to take on the day. It improves the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and it protects against UVAs and UVBs. It's going to address the fine lines around my eyes too, but man, those dark circles, when I see that, I want a product that works. So you get more glow for less with your skincare routine. You can try it for 60 days. And if you're not completely satisfied, just return the bottles and you'll get your money back. Get the only skincare routine you'll ever need. Head to jlobeauty.com/Flusterclux to receive 20% off plus 3 free gifts, including 2 quality face masks and 1 hydrating basil balm. Head to jlobeauty.com/Flusterclux, 20% off and 3 free gifts. A $175 value. jlobeauty.com/Flusterclux.
When your gut feels off, your whole day can feel off. Activia probiotic yogurts and dailies are a quick, easy, and tasty way to up your gut health game every day. They're deliciously smooth and creamy and packed with billions of live and active probiotics. Your gut is where it all begins, so start with Activia. Enjoying Activia twice a day for 2 weeks as part of a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle can help reduce the frequency of minor digestive discomfort.
Okay, so now back to the show. I think one way to think about this as you go into it is what is the value or what is the tone that you want this family gathering to have? Think of a word that maybe I want this to be a gathering of connection, or I want this to be a gathering of laughter, or I want this to be a gathering of playfulness. Think about what that word is for you. I'm always trying to make things simpler rather than more complicated. And so if you can just come up with a mantra, just a saying, just something that you say to yourself. I've got the word gentle on my kitchen faucet right now. Something that you say to yourself that keeps you in this state of being, rather than the places that we can get pulled to that are so stressful or so perfectionistic or so judgmental. Keep your expectations and keep your mindset on some sort of value or some sort of word that keeps pulling you back, pulling you back, pulling you back.
When your kids see you silly,
that's right,
they feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Right. Those moments of joy that I talk about. Also remember too that your immediate family, your partner, whoever is living in your house with you, kids really pick up on whether or not the adults are managing okay, whether or not the adults feel connected, whether or not the adults are in conflict. So you've got to pay attention to that too. It's really hard, but I know that holidays and dealing with everybody's family, et cetera, can be stressful. Pay attention to what your kids are picking up on and what they're seeing, because that's what they remember too. Yeah.
I started noticing this in 2020. But if I could tell, they might have been contemplating something that was sad. It was like, I have my tool of silliness. And I didn't feel silly when I did this. I was doing it for them. I was faking it, like you said. And then it leads to, because if you even fake silliness for your kids, they usually respond with authentic silliness. And then that helps you get in the mood too. When you have younger children, especially, little kids are typically always ready for silliness. And they are our masters. They are our teachers of finding joy in the moment. We don't want to deny ourselves of taking advantage of this incredible skill they have at that time in their life.
And with older kids, one of the things that you can do is you can ask them. We've had a lot of holiday seasons together. Is there something that we've done that you really enjoyed? Maybe we don't do it anymore, or something that was a part of our family. If you were in charge, what would be one tradition or one thing that you would want to do that would kind of bring some joy to this holiday for you? And see what they have to say. Maybe it was like, oh, remember when we did this? Or remember we did this? Ask them so that they feel like they're participating in it. Sometimes I think we as parents get really involved in creating these traditions and creating these memories. And we don't ask our kids, what are the memories or traditions that they really appreciated or valued? You might be surprised by what they say.
My favorite memory so far this holiday season, I had the kids come into the bedroom and they climbed in the bed and we watched a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Aww.
And my kids are older and they hadn't seen this in a really long time. And of course, because I'm a Gen X kid, it was very much a thing every year to watch. So I knew it very well. They didn't know it as well, but it was very funny because then we actually talked about Charlie Brown's mental health anxiety patterns. because I hadn't seen it in a while. That's kind of wacky show.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the same when you watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There are a lot of things in there that you're like, Santa was not really being very kind. He was sort of using Rudolph in a way. I mean, it is funny when you watch it through a different lens. Yeah, you see these patterns and you're like, oh, God, well, that was an interesting message, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. But it sparks conversation. And this is why we use music and literature and even TV shows to sort of represent and talk about all the relationship stuff that we have going on. It is a tricky time of year. I think as Robin and I are talking about this and talking about silliness and play, we are not at all dismissing that it can be really hard for people who are experiencing grief, who are feeling lonely. Like you say, we've got all sorts of things going on in our families collectively for sure. And we get that. What we are saying is in these times where you're feeling stressed or sad or disconnected, this is the exact time to pull out the playfulness and the silliness and the connection. This is when we need it.
When you are really looking for a way to experience something as a family and to create connection, when you are not going the play route and the silly route, which that's why theme park vacations typically are actually so common and fortifying for a family with younger kids, the power of nature and the power of observing something that creates awe together, and that can be achieved from hiking, that can be achieved from a variety of ways. But those kinds of shared experiences really can make a difference.
For sure. And we are a family that is very much out in nature a lot. And so I can speak to that absolutely, that you don't have to be on the top of a mountain like we are sometimes just looking at the incredible landscape, but you can look at the stars, you can notice the moon, you can take a walk. I will add to that to say that the research keeps piling up, everybody, that being outside and moving your body is incredible for your mood. So part of what you can also include in all of this family time together is to make sure that you are doing that. And not everybody needs to participate, right? If you say we're all going on a walk and 50% want to go and 50% want to stay, that's all right. It's interesting. There's a woman who has a podcast, Ask Dr. Jessica, and I've referred to it several times. She just had somebody on that was talking about movement and how much we've gotten rid of that and how important that is. She said that she dragged her kids to do a 5K on Thanksgiving morning, and then she dragged them to go do a hike later in the weekend. And when she was talking to her kids about the best part of the Thanksgiving weekend, guess what they said? It was the 5K and it was the hike. Move your bodies, do it together. Again, incorporate the playfulness in that too. It's the small and simple things that you can do, the spontaneous things that you can do that can really make the difference for you during this busy time.
So, Lynn, are we going to do the color game this Christmas? Do you think we should spread that around?
Yes, I totally think we should do that.
I just say, though, that none of the four of you can choose orange. We need an even playing field.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that. I'm already thinking of what color I want, but maybe that's not fair.
Maybe everyone gets assigned a color.
Yeah, it's going to distort the outcome if you get to pick your own color. Maybe it's randomly assigned.
This is advanced. So if you want to start this game and this is your first entry, let everyone choose their color.
Thanks for listening. And if you found this podcast helpful, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find this information.
And if you'd like to dig deeper on any of these topics, we have specialized playlists on our Spotify profile, and the link is in the show notes. Topics like teens, depression, and OCD. Bye, Lynn.
Bye, Robin.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.